Hello, 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 hello. Jordan Sheridan, live from the mothership. Status Coup. It is Friday, December 14th, 2018. And squirrel lips, squirrel lips. You're going to the Status Coup Hall of Fame. Squirrel lips. You're going to the Status Coup Hall of Fame. He or she, I think it's a she, never fails. $1.99 in that super chat. Every single time. Appreciate it. This is a super chat. And let me tell you something. I'm going to keep it real, folks. Hasn't been a lot of superness this week. Maybe you guys have all been feeling kind of what's right under super. Okay? Hello, Mr. Black. Hello, Boofire. See some new people here too. Remember your checklist. Remember your checklist, especially since YouTube is suppressing the hell out of us, which I'm going to get to in 1 second. Like this live stream. You got to like it, because the more people who like this live stream, press that thumbs up, the more people on YouTube see it. It's how their algorithm works. The more likes, the more chance others will see this live stream. Go to statuscoup.com. Check out our membership section, where you can become a member for $5 a month, for $10 a month. This is how Status Coup will grow. Become a member. Follow us at Status Coup on Twitter. Subscribe to our podcast. We just began making money. $2 already. We'll remember these days forever when we're multi-billionaires. Subscribe to the podcast, and then press 5 stars. Rate us at 5 stars. And then go to the evil corporate conglomerate that I don't even know if it's going to be around in 5 years, Facebook, and like us at facebook.com/statuscoup. So I want to tell you a little story here. I like to keep it real. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, we have a freaking mega show coming up on Sunday. We have a mega super chat Sunday coming up. Honestly, I don't even want to host it. I just want to watch it because it's going to be so entertaining. I have really gone out of my way this week to set up a monstrous Sunday marathon because, frankly, we got to make some money. We're going to have journalist Aaron Mate on. Aaron Mate, he is formerly with The Real News and Democracy Now! Interviewed him, I think, for like 45 minutes on all things Russiagate. We also get into the independent media landscape and talk about some outlets that, frankly, not doing their jobs. So Aaron will be here. I'm also going to have a guest from Flint to give you the latest on the Flint water crisis, because it still is a crisis. I'm going to have one of the leading activists from Flint. Also going to have an environmental attorney on. We spoke for about an hour this week. You won't believe the corruption that is going on in Virginia right now. And what does it have to do with? A Democratic governor and a pipeline. A bought-off Democratic governor that DNC chair Tom Perez told you we had to elect, Ralph Northam. Well, wait till you see this interview. I think it's really enlightening, and I actually think it has national implications. And I also have an interview with a wonderful young woman, a mother in North Carolina, because there is a water crisis in North Carolina that nobody knows about. So we're going to have all those on Sunday, and this is all great to entertain you, to inform you, but most importantly, to raise money for Status Coup. There's the GoFundMe link. We'll have reporting from Jen. You know who Jen is digging in on now? Ooh, you know who Jen's digging in on? Neera Tanden. And the Center for American Progress. And she's finding all sorts of goodies. So we're going to have a report from Jen. I could see her delight when we're text messaging. I just see her delight through the phone. Because it's not hard to find Neera Tanden being a hypocrite, and Neera Tanden and the Center for American Progress being pretty bought off. So I hope you show up Sunday, because we're going for a long time. Last time I went 7.5 hours. I don't know how long I'm going this time, but we got to raise money. That's the bottom line. If you're tapped out, because you've already donated, then bring some friends that aren't. You all have homework to do. If you can't donate, okay, I hope you can. But if you can't donate or you can't become a member, then bring new people to the live stream. We got 60 people watching and I only see 27 likes. We need more likes. Even if you dislike me, press the like button. Do me a favor. So it's going to be a big show. I really, to tell you the truth, I learned a lot from speaking with Aaron Mate. This guy, I don't know how he does it, but he just deals with this Russiagate hysteria all day and is very knowledgeable about it. So he taught me a lot. And these other two interviews, just wait. And of course, we'll have somebody from Flint as well. So we'll do a Q&A with you. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. So, you know, I'm going to start actually with what I think is just absolutely horrific. I try not to do a lot of Trump, but this is just terrific. Horrible. Mitch Jordan, I tried to send my $75 and it keeps saying enter valid email. Entered email twice. I don't know, Mitch. Can't really deal with the tech stuff while I'm live. Maybe Jen can. I don't know what's going on there. But thank you for the $75 once you get it through. And as a reminder, we're really pushing our GoFundMe right now. Really pushing. Hopefully you're not tapped out and can contribute. We want to get to 30,000 by the end of December, which gives us half a month. We got half a month left. We also want to get that number up to 500 people. So even if it's $20, $30, $50, $5, $10, doesn't matter, high or low, keep it coming. So, you know, President Trump is obviously tweeting and ranting about, you know, CNN is hysterical about the walls closing in on him, and the Trump with Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and Michael Cohen. I don't want to get into that. You know, there's more important things in life than who Trump had sex with and how he tried to cover it up, which is frankly the least surprising thing I've ever seen. But Trump, you know, you don't really hear a lot about the child separation anymore. You don't really hear about how many children are still separated from their parents. You don't really hear about, is there anybody going to be held accountable for these crimes against humanity of the Trump administration? I don't even hear the Democratic Party talking about it that much. It's just been normalized that the president threw children in cages and that children are still, for the most part, there's tens, I don't have the number. There's many children that have been, for the foreseeable future, maybe permanently, separated from their parents. Squirrel, you're a male. Thanks for another $1.99. Male squirrels. I like either sex squirrel, but thank you, Squirrel Lips. And follow the squirrel's lead. This is a super chat. So, a 7-year-old girl from Guatemala has died at the border because of Trump's and his administration's barbaric policies and gross negligence and recklessness of not treating her when it was clear she was in urgent health decline. From the Washington Post, a 7-year-old girl from Guatemala died of dehydration and shock after she was taken into Border Patrol custody last week for crossing from Mexico into the U.S. illegally with her father and a large group of migrants along a remote span of New Mexico desert, Customs and Border Protection said Thursday. The child's death is likely to intensify scrutiny of detention conditions at Border Patrol stations and CBP facilities that are increasingly overwhelmed by a large number of families seeking asylum in the U.S. And in large part, a lot of these families are seeking asylum in the U.S. because of U.S. policy that has helped destroy their countries and made it unlivable and too dangerous to live. According to CBP records, the girl and her father were taken into custody about 10 o'clock December 6th, south of Lordsburg, New Mexico, as part of a group of 163 people who approached U.S. agents to turn themselves in. More than 8 hours later, the child began having seizures at 6:25 a.m., CBP records show. Emergency responders, who arrived soon after, measured her body temperature at 105.7 degrees. And according to a statement from CBP, she, quote, reportedly had not eaten or consumed water for several days. After a helicopter flight to Providence Children's Hospital in El Paso, the child went into cardiac arrest and was revived, according to the agency. However, the child did not recover and died at the hospital less than 24 hours after being transported. The agency did not release the name of the girl or the father, but the father remains in El Paso, awaiting a meeting with Guatemalan consular officials. The agency is investigating the incident, blah, blah, to ensure appropriate policies were followed. Give me a fucking break. Oop! Cursed. There goes the money for this video, so help me make it up. Super Chat, GoFundMe. Food and water are typically provided to migrants in Border Patrol custody, and it wasn't immediately clear Thursday if the girl received provisions and a medical exam before the onset of the seizures. Well, the more I've been reading and seeing today on television, this report was yesterday, it seems that there was at least an hour between when this young girl's symptoms began and when she got medical attention. Jen, if you're seeing anything different, let me know. But the last thing I read was when she began having serious medical conditions, which they were aware was happening, it was at least an hour until she got medical attention. She was severely dehydrated from coming up from Guatemala. She was severely hungry from coming up from Guatemala. Basically, the Washington Post literally just regurgitated what Department of Homeland Security told them. Oh, there will be an investigation. There's not going to be an investigation. We already see what the Department of Homeland Security is saying. They put out a disgraceful statement saying, well, you know, this shows the dangers of these immigrants, you know, coming up to America in their long caravan and journey. You could have a debate about immigration, okay? Let's have a debate about immigration. The truth is, immigration has been on the decline, in part because President Barack Obama deported more immigrants at the border than any president before him. But put that debate aside. The United States talks about themselves as a humanitarian leader around the world. The United States talks about itself as a shining example of democracy. So whether you are for refugees getting asylum at the border, or whether you think they should not come, and you have more prejudiced views, I think we could all agree, whether you're a progressive, whether you're a conservative, whether you're batshit crazy, that if a 7-year-old, you know, you don't go from 98.6 degrees to 105 degrees in 5 minutes. Presuming when she got there and they were taken in, her health was already declining. She was already severely dehydrated. Thank you, Jen. The girl's name was Jacqueline Kyle McQueen. It's not like she just got there and she was fine and then all of a sudden she has a 105.6 degree temperature. But there was no medical attention. If you see somebody that dehydrated, the immediate thing you should be doing is downing them with water. If somebody you could tell when somebody is hungry and starving. So, whatever you think of the immigration debate, it is our responsibility, if we are taking these people at the border, to put them in cages, to detain them. It's our responsibility. And you don't hear this on CNN. You're not going to read it in the Washington Post. But why are they fleeing Guatemala? Why are they fleeing Honduras? Why are they fleeing El Salvador? You think they just love America and America's like this prime vacation spot? Because their countries have been overtaken by dictators, authoritarian leaders, and has been beset by violence and drugs. And you want to know who has helped create this violence? By, in many cases, inserting those dictators? The United States of America. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful show for you to watch. It's both entertaining but also informative. Narcos on Netflix. It has 3 seasons, and now there's a spin-off called Narcos Mexico. You'll learn from the beginning the cocaine drug trade and the beginning of the drug wars all the way back to the 1980s, starting with Pablo Escobar and then the Cali cartel, and now the new season is called Narcos Mexico. The United States helped create and sustain the drug war, even while pretending we were trying to win it. There's money in the drug war for the United States. Kelly says, American imperialism, greed. Triana be fine, was she in a cage? That I don't know. But what I do know is when her health began to become a extreme situation, extreme dehydration, extreme hunger, temperature rising, she didn't get medical attention for at least 1 hour. So again, it's not about whether you think they should be coming to our border or not. It's not about whether you think we should let them in. It's about, if you are going to take these people in, if you are going to detain them, if you are going to put them in cages, separate them, you are their custodians. The United States is their custodians if you're going to do that. Thank you, Jen. She was screened at the operating base and declared okay on the same day she died. You want to know how that probably looked? You want to know how that probably looked? They're just looking at you. If you're standing, if you could walk on your own. Oh, okay, goodbye. Michael Cooper, and we all know there will be no consequences for the people who did this. Of course not. You already have Kristen Nielsen, Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, basically saying, well, this shows that, you know, this is why they shouldn't come. I have an announcement. I have an announcement. I have an announcement. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do this right now because we're on a serious topic. I'll do it after. And you want to know something? I mean, I don't really cover Trump that much, and you know why I don't cover Trump that much. But if the media is going to be hysterical about Trump and only cover Trump, then at least prioritize the things that actually matter. Trump paying porn stars and Playboy models and Michael Cohen, yeah, it's illegal. Yeah, it should be covered. But his policies right now are literally killing 7-year-old girls. It's not leading any shows. I think I've seen 2 things about it all day. And we're talking about threats to our democracy from foreign countries? We're literally killing through gross negligence a 7-year-old. And how many more children are suffering that have been separated? How many more children are malnourished? How many more children have extreme psychological issues that are going to be damaged forever? Hannah Pause, demagogue in chief. Game and grind. The mainstream media won't cover anything of actual importance. That's why status quo exists. Hey, if I had the funding, I'd be down at that border right now. But we just don't yet. That's why we're doing GoFundMe, and that's why we're asking you to become a member. Both links are in the description of this video, and Jen will put it in there. But I got to tell you something. It's very clear. Donald Trump does not care if somebody dies, much less a 7-year-old, at the border. For him, he'll use it as anti-immigration, Islamophobe, Mexican-phobe material. He'll blame it on the parents to gin up his base. And his base won't care because they don't give a shit. Because many of them have been brainwashed to think that their economic insecurity and their economic problems and the reason they haven't gotten a raise in 20 years and the reason they have to work 2 to 3 jobs is because, hey, the Mexicans are taking your jobs. Hey, the Mexicans are taking your health care. Joseph Bowen, good point. If you factor in the Native Americans killed by the colonialists, the American Empire has killed more people than the British Empire or the Japanese Empire combined. It's a great point. You should consider having your own YouTube channel. Kelly Elaine, I'm a member today. Why only $10? So I kept Patreon too. Thank you, Kelly, for both. And we are in the process of creating a higher level of membership because we have had a few people say we'd like to contribute monthly more than $10. We wanted to just start off with 2 basic levels that we thought would be affordable for the majority. But we have had enough people ask us, can I contribute more? So we're going to create a higher level as well. But thank you for doing both, Kelly. That's very, very kind of you. So, breaking news. Trump just named Budget Director Mick Mulvaney acting Chief of Staff. And that was something I said yesterday. Mick Mulvaney has taken a machete to the budget so we can give more tax cuts to rich people, so we could deregulate the whole country. Mick Mulvaney has helped Trump make this Bush on steroids. And now he's the acting Chief of Staff, and my guess is he'll become the permanent Chief of Staff. Hold on. All right. I am going to follow up on this. We'll see what, quote, investigation they have. I doubt it will be a real one. We'll see what more information comes out about the timeline of Jacqueline's health decline and then death on the same day. We'll see what information, who were the agents that were looking at this girl and said she's okay when they screened her. Because most children aren't okay in the morning and then have 105 temperature a few hours later and die. It's terrible. And I hate to make this awkward transition, but I want to, hold on. Thanks for calling 15 minutes late.
Yeah, I forgot.
Hold on 1 second. I'm not done with something. So I want to just point out we have amazing news. Mitch, your $75 has finally gone through. Oh, that's Michelle. Michelle, your $75 has finally come through. Thank you for the hard effort to make that happen, and thank you for the $75. Sandy, thank you for following up right after. We are now at $26,645. Our goal is $30,000 by the end of this year. We are not close, but we're getting closer. So hopefully more people contribute today, tomorrow, and definitely Sunday when we go live. Joining me now is my partner in incarceration. This would be Ty Bayless, and that would be a photo of us incarcerated. You looking at that, Ty? You looking at that photo?
Yeah, I see that shit.
So I wasn't going to have you on for this topic, but I do want your thoughts real quick on what I was just talking about, basically a 7-year-old girl dying at the border.
I said, hey, I'm not sure who Kelly is, but I see her. What's happening?
What are your thoughts on a 7-year-old girl from Guatemala dying at the border because Trump's border control screened her, said she was okay, and then she died the same day of extreme dehydration and almost 106-degree fever?
Really? Jesus Christ.
Glad to see you're following the news.
Doug, hey, if I wasn't working slave labor over here, then I probably could follow the news. Shit.
Well, give the audience an update. What have you been working on? Because people have been asking, where's Ty? Where's Ty?
Well, you know, I really work on CP time.
Oh, so, CP? What's CP time?
Colored people time. You never heard that before?
Oh, colored people time. Okay, there you go.
You just needed an excuse to say it? Is that what this is?
No, I never heard that.
Oh, yeah. So, actually, what happened is I kind of came across some new things that I wanted to do. So, kind of all this morning, once I got enough light, I started shooting a gang of shit. And now that after the third time that I shot it, because I wanted to look right, and a couple times the lighting wasn't right, so I adjusted some things, took my time, got it right. So now I'm just trying to do this sequence in addition to just having this this edit to you so that you can give me some notes so it can be ready. But it's coming along, man. I think you're gonna like it. I think the people gonna like it. I actually, the behind the scenes video that I did, I'm gonna show some clips of the stuff that I shot this morning. And
just so the audience knows, what you're talking about is the documentary that we're going to release soon on.
Yeah, the documentary that we're releasing soon on Flint, the water crisis, on the reporting that Jordan and Jen did while we were out in Flint, Michigan, about the water testing. So,
and by the way, Ty, I just want to let you know, as soon as you came on and used that word, the YouTube started buffering.
YouTube, I know, I saw it buffering. I thought it was me. That's you?
No, it's me. It must be you.
Oh, interesting concept.
Everything was working fine.
Everything's working fine until you use that word. It's actually like stuck, huh?
Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Is it stuck, or you just got the picture on?
I don't know. Maybe it's.
Oh, you just got the picture on. I thought it was stuck because I don't see your face.
No, I just put the picture up of you. But
okay.
Let me see. Let me see.
It's good to put a picture of a black man in jail.
Yeah, there's a black man in jail with a white man. Not everything has to be racial, you know?
There he is.
There you go. YouTube hates Ty, buffering right as I get here. So
exactly.
What I wanted to bring you on, because...
I like the framing, pimping. You're getting it together.
I'm trying. So I wanted to bring you on because CNN, really. Have you been? I know you like watching CNN and Morning Joe, and you know.
I honestly haven't watched anything in about 4 days because I've been playing catch up to get this stuff done.
Okay, because CNN, a headline says Bernie Sanders supporters should worry about Beto O'Rourke. Yeah. You just sent me that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what's so crazy is that I don't understand why they hate Bernie Sanders so much. They rarely talk about him. When they do talk about him, it's always in opposition of who he should be worried about. They never really give him credit for anything. It's weird how, like, the bias is so real. They talk about Fox News being biased, which they are, but CNN is very much so as well. They're so fucking biased and hypocritical. I mean, I was watching the interview with Mark Lamont Hill, and it just reminded me of him being fired. And I'm just like, how hypocritical are they? And Jim Acosta, they just had a whole hissy fit over that. I mean, dog, as much as they talk about Fox News, they should be talking about themselves. Because in addition, Fox News have liars and exaggerators. They do the same thing, and they never kick them people off. They got people that lie no matter what. They're going to be on Trump's side no matter what. And they just doing it for theater. And
right.
They continue to have them on the show.
Well, what I found interesting, so I'm just going to read a little bit of this piece for the audience. So,
what up, Mitch?
The Beto O'Rourke 2020 train seems to be gaining steam. Yeah, that train that CNN's creating. Those backing other potential candidates want donors and pundits to slow the Beto roll. However, among the most prominent critics are supporters of Vermont independent Senator Bernie Sanders, who believes the Texan isn't progressive enough. Sanders fans have at least some reason to worry. Ooh, O'Rourke or really any other candidate with outsider appeal could eat into Sanders' base of young, independent-leaning voters. And that's the part that I just find so ridiculous. Because
well, you know what? What they just said before that undermines that entire little sentence. Your shit is your shit is like hella pixelated, so I can't see it. But the fact that they're saying that Bernie Sanders supporters think he's not progressive enough, and then right after say, "Oh, Bernie may have something to worry about," that makes no fucking sense.
Well, the beautiful thing is, and what abort you just said, I don't know what that means, but I looked at his donors, no thanks. What happened in the 2016 campaign, in my view, was people started to become educated about money in politics. It really started during Occupy and accelerated. It doesn't take long. And I'm not, listen, I think Beto ran a good campaign. If I lived in Texas, I would have voted for him over Ted Cruz. But that's a state. That's a state. Yeah. Now we're talking about the country. And I would have voted for, the girl who broke my heart at 16 over Ted Cruz. So, that's who we're talking about. It's Ted Cruz. But the point is, Beto O'Rourke, it takes 5 minutes to look at his donors, look at what his voting history has been as a congressman, and you realize I know you're going to make it a racial thing, but he's the white Obama. He is Obama 3.0. He has wonderful rhetoric. He can, I've heard him talk. He definitely has some charisma. He's not
Obama 1.0.
3.0.
3.0, that ain't nothing to sneeze at. But he's not though. Like I think well, I don't even want to say it. Like it's hard. I know he got donors and everything. I don't want to kind of misspeak, which I haven't done a lot of research. But I think that CNN know that the majority of people aren't diligent enough, and they won't be diligent enough to do research, and they'll just jump on something that looks good and feels good in the moment. But you know what? I'm gonna back up a little bit and take that back, because I think people are kind of so fed up that they're not, especially progressives.
What do you mean?
They're not going to just vote for someone and not do the research. I think people are really do not want to see what happened in 2016 again. You don't think so? Well,
my point is, like CNN, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they're truly saying things that they think are true. Well, when you say, oh, he has a chance of cutting into Sanders' base of young, independent leading voters, they're assuming the only reason that he would cut into Sanders' base of young, independent leading voters is because he's young. Like, they're basically assuming that young voters would stray from Bernie Sanders to Beto O'Rourke because Beto is younger. Well, I met a lot of young people during the campaign, And last time I checked, millions of them cast their vote for, at the time, a 75-year-old. So why would they all...
But that's it, though. That's it. Like, they're so out of touch. They're so out of touch. And that lets you know they have a circle of people that they continue to be around. And they don't understand why when they go to St. Louis and go to Ferguson and people want them to get the fuck out because they're tone deaf. And the only thing they're seeing, they don't investigate. The majority of them were actors that didn't quite make it and got into newscasting. So they don't even really care about like the real truth. Only thing they're into doing is just regurgitating some information that was passed to them by some authority versus going to get like real information from real people. But they do understand that regardless of anything, that they do have influence. They do. Because it's cable. A lot of people watch them. So they know they do have some sort of influence, but they don't get that their influence is not as big as they think. Because without any influence, Bernie Sanders did what he did, and they didn't do anything to help.
Right. But also, at least Barack Obama was a sitting senator for 2 years. I mean, Beto O'Rourke.
Black Jesus.
Yeah, Beto O'Rourke. Did you like my video calling him a war criminal? Anyway,
you know what?
Beto.
I think that's harsh language.
I don't.
Well, I'll say this. That's something that I can't condone, and I hate it every time I think about it. And I was watching the interview when he was talking about those things. Because remember I told you at Breaking Films we did a documentary about it. He said, it was where there wasn't any laws or regulations. So I think what happened is his general said we needed it, and they said they had the target, and they were doing it. And once they realized...
Oh, God. You are such a Barack Obama apologist. I can't even stomach it.
No, I'm just saying, he did. He pushed back a lot after he saw what was actually going on. But it's terrible. I'm not justifying it on nothing.
What do you mean when he saw what was going on, like he was some observer? They can't... The drone program, he pushed them to accelerate it. The drone program...
No, I understand that, but if something's getting pushed, it's because you have a false perception of something. It wasn't like, they're killing 100 civilians for every 2 or 3 terrorists. No. That's not the information he's getting, and then say, okay, we'll keep moving forward. No.
Boofire says, now, boys, play nice. All right, I don't want to stray into Obama because we could talk about that forever. You're an apologist, and I'm too harsh. But the point is, what I think what you're saying is kind of true, but CNN does have influence, and I'll tell you why. Think back to the Iowa caucus. It's channels like CNN that call the race.
Yeah.
Really quickly when Bernie Sanders is down by less than 1 point. Bernie Sanders was down by 1/10 of a point in Iowa, where CNN called it for Hillary Clinton. You think they would call it for Bernie Sanders against Hillary Clinton if the roles were reversed? You think if it's Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden in Iowa and it's very close, that CNN doesn't have an incentive and a bias to basically call that race as quickly as they can? And you say, I don't know why CNN does this. I know why they do it, because their parent company is now Verizon, AT&T, and they lobby the government for tax cuts and subsidies and deregulation, just like General Electric and Comcast and all the other corporate conglomerates that own our media. So they don't like someone like Bernie Sanders. I mean, hell, Bernie Sanders, literally yesterday, for the first time in American history, the War Powers Act was initiated because of Bernie Sanders. It was his resolution that passed the Senate. You barely hear a pin drop on CNN giving him credit. Let me tell you something.
Sanders out here like he the president.
Yeah.
Being the president.
He's doing more than the actual president, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And, some people call me a Bernie bro, but can you think of anyone since Trump became elected that has done more than Bernie Sanders?
I'll tell you this. You can't really think of anyone in recent history that I can remember, unless they're opposing someone and trying to get someone, there hasn't been anyone in recent history that was not in the high office that were influencing billionaires, pushing as much like national legislation to help people. Not shit that's only going to help a certain few. That's going to help a lot. I mean, I don't think you've seen that from even a vice president outside of, I mean, like I said, Dick Cheney, but Dick Cheney was doing like dirt.
Well, what I'm saying is CNN, the corporate media, was caught off guard by Bernie Sanders. Now they've had 2 years to prepare. You see the Washington Post and Politico alternate each week with their ridiculous hit pieces on him. And now, I mean, I didn't even read the whole piece, but it gets worse. They're propping up Beto O'Rourke, not based on any data. Beto O'Rourke had a great campaign in Texas because, A, he's charismatic, B, he did do good grassroots organization, but C, Ted Cruz is widely unpopular, even among Republicans. And I'm not, again, Beto O'Rourke, he's a dime a dozen. He's a centrist. He's part of the... What?
Hey, Rob called me, Ty is a Obama ball warmer. Not good.
Hey, you know what? Listen, I say, and I've said it to you before, I understand. I mean, listen, he was the first black president. It is historic. I think Obama...
Outside of, hold on, that's significant, very significant. But don't try to minimize his intellect. Don't try to minimize his empathy. His. I mean, think about this. Nah, I don't want to get into it.
First of all, who said anything about his intellect? I actually said yesterday you haven't...
No, but what I'm saying is, I mean, he passed... There's a lot of things that you... But maybe we had some unrealistic expectations. Or maybe we didn't.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of people did because he ran as a progressive. He said he would push a public option. He said he would end the war in Afghanistan. He said he would regulate Wall Street. And most of those things did not happen.
Yeah.
That's true. And by the way, one reason I'm actually particularly tough on him is because I actually think he had so much promise because he is so intelligent. This man was...
That's what I'm saying. No, we are... I'm hard on him, too. Look at my Twitter. I'm telling you I am.
That's only because I've radicalized you. When I met you, if I said Obama had a hair out of place...
Don't get it untwisted. I love him. That's why I criticize him. It's like growing up and realizing your dad didn't do good as a father.
Okay.
That's Obama. And you criticize him, but it's because you love him.
I don't love him, but
I love him.
Hey, I started souring on him when the droning started, and also, frankly, you know, the bottom line is this, and this is why you and I cover Flint so much, and why Jen now with us. When you allow certain things to be normalized, it makes them be repeated. President Obama, or any president at that time, had a responsibility to put those bankers in jail. Because if those bankers realize that no matter what they do, they could burn down Main Street, there are no criminal penalties, then they're just going to keep doing it. And he didn't do it. And I would argue a big reason was he got the most money from Wall Street in history. But we'll save that for another day. Last thing on this. I think this is a coordinated campaign that's going on between MSNBC, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post.
Anthony, I think, was that Anthony? Yeah. TV government. I thought that said Ty, my bad. I haven't slept in 2 days. Go ahead.
I think they're already starting with a coordinated campaign, not only because they don't want Bernie to be competitive, but I actually think they want Trump to get reelected.
Do you really?
Oh, are you kidding me? These executives? Absolutely. 4 more years of a reality show with a chance of impeachment? The ratings? Oh, yeah. Sure, they're going to try to knock Bernie just in case. But I don't think they. I think they're going to try. I think they're going to cover if Trump runs again, which he's going to. Every last empty podium, every last tweet. I think they're going to do the same thing. Absolutely. Because you got to remember, these executives at CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, this and that, they have shareholders. You know, they have to bring home the bacon for their parent companies and their investors. And Trump has been the greatest. CBS is, well, he's not there anymore because he got fired for sexual assault. But less.
Rob just went in on me.
Minimize his empathy, I guess.
Calm down, player.
Hey,
I see.
Excuse me. Don't tell our viewer to calm down. I'm going to read his comment.
No, I'm saying I see him. I understand what you're saying, Rob. I get it. I got you.
Do you see what I'm dealing with, Rob?
He's not disposable. He's not disposable because he fucked up. I still love him.
Excuse me. Rob. You better contribute to the super chat because you just got me demonetized.
I done cussed like 4 times since you've been on.
All right. I don't want to get this off the rails. Are you going to be calling in for the Sunday marathon?
Yeah, but that's the plan, man. I didn't even know it was Friday today. Shit, man.
And by the way, you know, I told the audience we purchased Wirecast and we could now bring people in, but you haven't even figured it out.
I'm gonna figure it out one thing at a time. Let me get you this documentary.
All right.
And it'll be figured out by Sunday, hopefully.
Thanks for calling, and say hi to Barack for me.
Hey, everybody. I miss y'all. Hopefully we'll talk soon. I got some behind-the-scenes footage I'm going to send to Jordan. And, yeah, I guess I'll see y'all on Sunday.
And why should people go to statuscoup.com right now and become a member as low as $5 a month?
Because I'm fine as May wine.
Oh, my God. It's always about you. As Jen says, what's in it for them?
What's in it for becoming a member?
Yeah.
Oh, behind-the-scene footage. You get emails on our
I don't need your academic listing of what they get. Why should they? What's in it for them? What are they going to get from us?
What you guys are going to get from us is you're going to get real journalism. You're going to get us out in the field. You're going to get us out doing exactly the thing that you guys come in and tune in every day to watch. That's what you get. And also, what did I want to say? Shoot, I wanted to tell you something. God dang it. Yeah, but you get you know what I was thinking? I was thinking that we should, thanks, Rob. Rob just gave $1.99. Please read my previous comments. All right. I think what we should do, I don't know if you do this, but I was thinking about this today because you when you called me this morning, you were like, your videos need to be longer than 4 minutes. So this one that I'm going to give you is like 15 minutes.
Wonderful.
And so I was walking around and I was just kind of showing stuff in my house and talking and things like that. But I was like, I don't know how you do it when you do your behind the scenes, but we should do some behind the scenes when we're out and about as well.
What a shocker. I remember that time I called you and said, you know, I'd love you to come up with some ideas when we're on the road for behind the scenes content.
No, I'm not talking about just when we're on the road, dog. I'm talking about like when you're in New York, I'm here, we just living our daily lives. Like that's behind the scenes too. When we doing something, chilling, yeah, this and that, something comes up on the news, oh, check it out, you know, things like that where we're on the move where the only time they see us is just in the house. You know what I'm saying? It's behind the scenes, like we don't just live in the house.
Right. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And lastly, I know the people want to know, how's your neck doing?
My neck is not hurting as bad. I'm still waiting on the doctor. Still haven't called me. It's been 3 weeks. I'm going to call them on Monday, see why they haven't called. But I haven't had to take drugs in 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks now. So that's good. I've been able to just take a leave, and that's been working for me. Since Ty got this demonetized, the picture, I appreciate you. What is that?
Omradelf.
Omradelf.
Obama, I like that.
Yeah.
It's true. All right. I'll talk to you later. Definitely, we'll have you come in on Sunday.
For sure. Everybody, I love y'all. Keep it real out there. Y'all see me in a minute. Love you too, doggy. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. And where's your comment? Blah, blah, blah. Rob left $1.99. Read my comment. Oh, if only minimize his empathy. I guess you meant bombing the shit out of the Middle East, overthrowing Libya, and setting himself on fire, protecting banks. And now you could purchase a slave for $500. Overwhelming empathy. That's pretty accurate. Where could you? What are you talking about? Slaves for $500? Am I missing something? Thank you, Omradell, $5 since Ty got you demonetized defending Obama. And by the way, I just want to, for the 130 people watching, I want to tell you something. I try not to talk about this, but I think it's important you understand it. So earlier today, I messaged Jen, who is running the chat, president of Status Coup, and I said, "No, Mr. Black, Chris Hedges has not called me back. I don't know what I did. At first, he said yes to an interview, and he hasn't followed up. Bug him. I want to interview him." So I said, "Hey, we're 100 subscribers away from 23,000. Isn't this great? We're 100 subscribers away from 23,000. I mean, I would love to get to 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it would be pretty solid." So we were at like 22,900. And I literally closed my eyes because I was kind of tired to have I don't really nap much, but I just wanted to close my eyes. And I look back. We lost like, how many is that? 70 subscribers in like 45 minutes? Why is YouTube purging subscribers from this channel? And Jen told me that they did it another time this week. But she didn't tell me because she knew I would go nuclear. It's not normal to lose 75 subscribers in an hour. I mean, maybe if I said something or there was a scandal, but I don't think that could have happened while I was napping. So, can somebody explain to me why YouTube is purging this channel? Can somebody explain to me why when I started this live stream, I was clear as day? I was clear as day. You could see me just fine. And then all of a sudden, the audience goes up. Ty calls in, and all of a sudden, I'm buffering like crazy. Can somebody explain this to me? Because I'd like to know. I spoke with an expert today, by the way, an expert engineer who told me it is 120%, because he has looked at my Twitter and he has looked at my YouTube channel, that they are censoring me on both Twitter and YouTube. And it's not me, it's us, it's Status Coup. Because really, yes, they're hurting me, they're hurting Jen, they're hurting our ability to grow the business, but they're hurting people's ability to learn what is actually going on in this country. They are hurting people's ability, they're hurting the people of Flint, because more people can't be woken up what's going on in Flint. This isn't about me being pissed off because like the numbers are low. Censorship is one of the first components of fascism. Look it up. That censorship is one of the components to fascism. Every single day I go live at 5 o'clock Eastern. Every single day I go live at 5 o'clock Eastern. We just made a brand new image to really drill it in, because I can't depend on YouTube notifying people that we're live. I mean, at this point, I'm going to have to we're going to have to find money and do like one of those those signs that are attached to airplanes in the sky to alert people when we're live. They're purposely not notifying people. They're purposely unsubscribing people who have subscribed. And yes, it does hurt us and our ability to have a business and grow, but it hurts people who are trying to get information, who are trying to be informed, who are trying to take that information and maybe become activists on their own. Thank you, Legrand, $5 in the super chat. Thanks for doing this. Gabriel Arkady, 100 SEK from Sweden. Keep up the good work, Jordan. Sending some love from Sweden. I hope you'll join us on Sunday, 12 o'clock Eastern. Big, big day. So this isn't about me complaining, but it's getting to the point. It's getting to the point where we don't have a First Amendment anymore in this country. We just don't. Yes, YouTube is a private company. They could do whatever the hell they want. They could purge people if they want. They could suppress whoever they want. That is their right. But that doesn't make it moral, ethical, or frankly, good business. It is bad business to do what they're doing because more people are learning what they're doing. There's no reason. You know, what do they say? By the way, maybe one day I'll write a book and I'll show you. I mean, if you looked at the ongoing email back and forth I have with YouTube, they might as well just tell me, go fuck yourself, we don't care. They just literally copy and paste the same response each time. Each time. It's gotten to the point where I don't even know why I keep emailing them. But first of all, you know, they might say, well, we purge accounts that are inactive or haven't watched your channel in a while. Yeah, well, maybe they haven't watched the channel in a while because you don't notify them when the channel is live. We usually publish per day 4 or 5 videos. We take these live streams and then we cut them up into smaller videos because most people don't see it live. That's what the Young Turks does. That, you know, they have a live show and then they cut up into smaller clips because most people consume things in shorter ways or they can't watch it live or whatever. Kelly says, so if someday we don't see you here, we go to statuscoup.com, right? That is correct. And Kelly, actually, it's great that you brought that up. That is one of the biggest reasons we are trying to grow our membership. That is one of the biggest reasons we are trying to grow membership. Because if it's up to Jen and I, we would actually like to be marketing and pushing people to our website where we could go live to our website. We would need more money to increase the bandwidth of the website, but that's a good problem to have. If you have a growing audience, then that's good. We will pay for the more bandwidth. But our goal is to not rely on YouTube, not rely on Twitter, not rely on Facebook, and frankly, down the road, probably not rely on Patreon either. We're not telling our patrons to drop your subscriptions, but they're starting to do some funny things too. But we want to build a media revolution and community at our site. Frankly, we are understaffed. It's Jen and me and Ty. So we don't have, full website developers to really. We have a site. It looks pretty good. It needs some work, but we want people to become members because if we grow our membership right now between Patreon and membership on our website, we have over 400 paid subscribers. I think we now have 40 members through our website, and we just launched this on our website. If you could budget in $5 a month or $10 a month, obviously we prefer 10, but we're not discriminating against 5 either. And we're also going to create a higher level because a few people have asked us, can they do more than just 10? But the point is, we don't want to be reliant on YouTube because frankly, YouTube is not a digital media company anymore. It is a corporate media company. And there is zero reason that subscribers should be cut from this channel or Jimmy's channel or Kyle's channel or The Humanist Report or Jamal Thomas. It's censorship, and frankly, it's insulting. YouTube hosts, whether you're politics, fashion, whatever it is. This is hard work. Like, I work pretty much, I get up, I take a bath, and then I'm just working all day until my live stream. And then I'm working after my live stream. It takes a lot of time to publish the videos on YouTube, then to publish them on Twitter, now to publish them on our website, to research, to report, to call sources during the day. We work hard. And we should be judged by, everybody should be judged with the same opportunity. Okay? If our channel wasn't succeeding because people didn't like the content, so be it. That's just life. But our channel is actually wildly succeeding for the amount of suppression that has gone on. We're almost at 23,000 subscribers, and we just launched 9 months ago. If we didn't have the notification suppression, if we didn't have the viewership suppression where people don't even see our live streams, honestly, in a normal, non-suppressed world, we'd probably be closer to 50,000 subscribers in 9 months. So I'm not bringing this up to have like a woe is me party. I'm bringing this up so you guys know what type of censorship is going on. Because we were just talking about the corporate media going after Bernie. Well, they're also going after actual independent media. And independent media is the only place you're going to get the truth about Bernie, about whether he has a chance if he decides to run, news about his campaign. Comrade Elf, you would think with 27,000 subscribers there'd be more than 130 viewers. We have almost 23,000, just to correct you. But yes, listen, I'm not saying this arrogantly. I'm just telling you what it is. When I was at the Young Turks, I joined them at the beginning of 2016. I grew a channel from it had 2,000 subscribers when I started at TYT Politics. I grew it to 140,000 in 11 months. I know how YouTube works. And I know that there are ebbs, and there are flows. There are ebbs and there are flows. Some weeks are good, some weeks are bad. But what we've been experiencing here at Status Coup is not an ebb and a flow. It's clear suppression. A channel with 23,000 subscribers should not be going live. And by the way, this current audience we have is high for this week. This week we've been going live closer to 75 to 100 live. If every person who opts for notifications, which you could do by clicking on the bell and pressing all notifications, we should probably be going, Jen, what do you think? I think we should be going live for the amount of subscribers we have, closer to 250 to 300 at this point. Thank you, Desi Mergy, $10 in the super chat. So you're saying blowing identity politics, trumpets, full blast 24/7 doesn't prevent one from having fascist tendencies that look to strangle speech? No. Yep, exactly. The only difference between, and by the way, again, we're not taking anything against Jimmy, nothing against Kyle, nothing against Secular Talk, nothing against the Humanist Report, nothing. The only difference between us and them, we all have the same issues. We all have the same suppression going on. The only difference is their channels were started quite a long time before this suppression started. So they were already able to build up their audience in a non-suppressed environment where people got their notifications, where they weren't being demonetized, and they were able to build on their own through hard work and great content, large audiences. But right out of the gate, we've been dealing with non-stop suppression, and we've still grown to 23,000, almost 23,000 subscribers. So I'm just telling you, don't rely on notifications. Save this screenshot, put it in your calendar, put it in your iPhone, 5 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it wherever the hell you are, Instagram. Make sure people know. Appointment Internet, 5 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. And make sure that make sure you are still subscribed if you subscribe to this channel. Because they are unsubscribing people who did not opt to be unsubscribed. I find it hard to believe 75 people decided to unsubscribe while I napped for 20 minutes. Also, in addition to 5 o'clock, put it in your calendars. Every Sunday, we don't work 5 days a week here. I work 7 days a week. Jen works 7 days a week. Most of the day, Saturday, I spend preparing for this live stream marathon. Noon Eastern, Sunday, Super Chat marathon, Super Chat / GoFundMe. We're trying to raise GoFundMe predominantly. So, now that I'm done with that, another story you're not going to see anywhere else, more lead contamination. More lead contamination. In Indiana, where Governor Mike Pence was governor when there was a lead crisis in a poor black and Latino community that he did nothing about. If you live in Indiana, nearly 20 dead swans found around Indiana Lake since October. Soil samples from the area earlier this year show lead contamination in yards in both Hammond and Whiting. With more than a dozen swans found dead around an Indiana lake in recent weeks, authorities said test results showed several carcasses had elevated lead levels. Local birdwatcher John Madeka of Hammond said he has personally discovered at least 18 dead mute swans since October around George Lake. Quote, I am concerned about these beautiful birds and the people who live next to them in Hammond and Whiting. Madeka reported the deaths to the Humane Indiana Wildlife, which in turn helped deliver carcasses to the Indiana Department of Natural Resources lab at Purdue University for testing. In the weeks following, an official with the Department of Natural Resources sent an email to Humane Indiana Wildlife saying the 6 carcasses tested had elevated lead levels in the kidneys, some to toxic levels. Quote, results from additional tests, including those for avian influenza, botulism, and other toxogens, were negative. The Indiana Department of Environmental Management is investigating the deaths and said the investigation remains ongoing. Yeah, I'm sure. Quote, due to the partial decomposition of the dead mute swans, an exact cause of death could not be determined, IDEM said in a statement to NBC5. DNR also noted major pathological changes were associated with parasitism. Soil samples from the area earlier this year showed lead contamination in yards in both Hammond and Whiting. Why am I showing you this? Obviously, I do care about wildlife. It's very sad when we lose animals. Do you know how close Hammond is to East Chicago, Indiana? Where, if you remember, when I was at the Young Turks, Ty was with me several of those trips. We covered a lead crisis in Indiana, East Chicago, Indiana, which is about 45 minutes west of, is it west? No, 45 minutes east of Chicago, Illinois. East Chicago, Indiana basically was built on top of a lead smelting plant and other factories. DuPont had an insecticide factory. There was a lead smelting plant. They built a poor African-American government housing complex literally on top of a lead smelting plant. They found in the soil lead levels 200 times the, quote, allowable limit. When I interviewed an EPA official on the ground there in August 2016, I said, are you testing the water? They said no, because this isn't Flint. That's what they told me. This isn't a Flint situation. 3 months after that, in December 2016, lead in the water. They have been permeating and emitting lead, arsenic, and other things through the air, through the soil, and through the water. We're finding out now in this area in Indiana. East Chicago, Indiana, Hammond, Indiana, which is 15 minutes from East Chicago. What was the other one? Whiting. And one second. I could get you a little bit more about this. This is from the Northwest Indiana. Federated Metals operated on George Lake's northeast shore from 1937. This is the name of the lake, George Lake. Federated Metals operated on George Lake's northeast shore from 1937 to 1983 as a smelting, refining, recovery, and recycling faculty for lead, copper, and zinc. The site was subject to a $3.35 million Federal Resource Conservation and Recovery Act from 2001 to 2006 that involved demolition of an on-site bag house and consolidation of debris, hazardous waste, and slag dredged from George Lake into a near landfill capped with vegetation. And I could tell you, because I've reported on this before, every single time they do these demolitions, it further contaminates the neighboring area and possibly the neighboring water. EPA and the Indiana Department of Environmental Management also recently cited Whiting Metals, which currently operates at the site, for exceeding lead emissions limits. Madeka said he's not sure if source of the lead could be from air or water, but he suspected the toxic heavy metal is lurking at the bottom of the relatively shallow north end of the lake where the swans fed. Let me repeat that. But he suspected the toxic heavy metal is lurking at the bottom of the relatively shallow north end of the lake where the swans feed. Mute swans have longer necks than trumpeter and tundra swans, he said. They also tend to remain year-round, unlike other migrating swans. So, EPA said it completed excavation work at 28 properties this year and plans on excavation 3 more next spring. Digging has stopped for the winter. Quote, during excavation activities, dust suppression methods were utilized to prevent migration of lead into the air, and real-time air monitoring was conducted. Great job at that. Obviously a great job. I will check. I saw this story pretty early, pretty soon before I went live. I will check. I'm not positive, so I don't want to tell you something if I'm not positive. I don't know if anyone gets their drinking water from this lake, but in most communities, people get drinking water from rivers, people get drinking waters from lakes, people get drinking waters from reservoirs, people get drinking water from streams, people get drinking water from a host of different sources. So it is possible that people are getting their drinking water from this lake. Not to mention, like that statement from the EPA said, lead is being emitted into the air and it's being emitted into the water. We also don't know if people fish in this lake. If the lead is killing these swans, it's probably getting into fish and other wildlife that people might be fishing and eating. Creative Experiment says, so not only are we being lead poisoned by idiot city water pipe corrosion control, we are also being poisoned by idiot toxic industries dumping lead right into the ground and water. Creative Experiments, you're right, but you're wrong. These aren't idiot toxic industries dumping lead. These are toxic industries that know exactly what they're doing and have been doing it since the early 20th century. Part of why the Flint River was such a toxic body of water was because General Motors was allowed to dump its waste byproducts from manufacturing their automobiles right into the Flint River. Industry in America during the industrial buildup in the early 20th century, actually in the late 19th century, there was no EPA then. There were no EPA, environmental regulations, really. The focus was on business and growing industries, not what is this going to do to communities 50 years from now or 100 years from now. Diana says, as well as aluminum, barium, and strontium, and perhaps lithium next in the air. Don't forget arsenic, which was also found in the soil in East Chicago. And by the way, like I said, Hammond and what's the other one? Whiting are 15-minute drives. 15 minutes from East Chicago. So when you have somewhere like East Chicago, which by the way, it is a crime that the media never covered East Chicago. East Chicago never even got the Flint treatment. At least Flint got 2 weeks in the beginning. Then the media left. And it's been left to myself and Status Coup to cover, because it still is a crisis. East Chicago never got that. They never got that kind of media treatment. And they should have, considering the governor was Mike Pence at this time and he did nothing. Governor Mike Pence, when East Chicago, Indiana, which is predominantly black and Latino, had a lead crisis, he did not go down to East Chicago, Indiana. But when Greentown, Indiana, predominantly white, middle class, had a water problem with lead, he went down there. It was fixed in 3 months. Yes, so it sounds like we were all sitting on toxic lead bombs, sitting around for 50 years waiting to poison us. Yes, only correction would be sitting around probably for 75 to 100 years. These corporations have been allowed to dump in water bodies and are not seriously regulated. And I could tell you, and Jen could tell you, because she's seen it in our Flint reporting, the EPA is not only asleep at the switch, but intentionally asleep at the switch. And these corporations all donate to local politicians, to state politicians, and to federal politicians. So that's why I've said, yeah, Trump, he's bad. He's terrible on the environment. Much, much worse on the environment. Frankly, he's way worse than Hillary Clinton would have been. I can say that. I don't think Hillary Clinton would have been good. I think she's pro-fracking, and she pushed fracking around the world. Trump has been worse. You got to call it like it is. However, they make it seem like, the EPA was like on the ball before Trump. They make it seem like environmental regulations were a thing before Trump. No, they weren't. Chris Wynn says we can't get a water system update in Indianapolis, but we sure were able to charge a restaurant tax on the poor to pay for a new football stadium. Chris, if you're new to this program, because I haven't seen your name before, I want to welcome you to something called the United Corporations of America. Because what you just said is why we are the United Corporations of America. And whoever hasn't liked this stream, we're at 85 likes. Let's get us over 100. Mitch says, same issues pretty much here in Canada. Yep. Oh, you've been watching for a few months. Love your stuff. Thank you for supporting us. Tell your friends. Anthony, Jimmy Carter is the last environmental president. And shockingly, you know who created the EPA? Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon. So, like I said, I saw that story pretty early pretty late, right before I was going live. So I'm going to get more information on that. I have some sources on the ground there that could fill me in to make sure. At this point, I don't know if that's people's drinking water, if they drink from that lake. So I'm going to find that out, and I'll have an update on that either Sunday or Monday. But as a reminder, before I end today, we got a big Sunday coming up, folks. We are working hard. We are live at noon Eastern this Sunday and every Sunday. Sunday Super Chat GoFundMe Marathon. Our goal is to raise $30,000 by the end of this year. Right now, we are at $26,675. I think we could get to 30,000, and I think possibly, I don't know if it's going to be this Sunday, but I think we could really put a dent into things this Sunday. And it doesn't take as much as you think. I know a lot of you have already donated, and if you can't donate again, I understand. We don't want to ask anything of anyone that they don't have or can't afford to give. But if you have friends that are interested in news and are Trumped out, they don't want to hear any more about Trump, then bring them to the live stream. Tell your friends to watch. We're going to have great interviews this Sunday. I interviewed 3 great people, and we're going to air them on Sunday. And I'm going to have somebody from Flint live. We're going to have Q&As. We're going to have behind-the-scenes videos with Jen and Ty. If we reach 30,000, I'll twerk again. You know you love when I twerk live. But I want to impress on you why it is that we are trying to raise this money. If you haven't noticed, I haven't been in the field recently. Frankly, we just haven't had the funding. We don't want to go out into the field like once in a blue moon. We want to go out into the field continually. So we're trying to raise way more money. So if you're tapped out, that's fine. Share these videos, word of mouth, tell your friends. We want to grow our audience. And we're going to be talking about membership and trying to get you to become members of Status Coup. Because what's in it for you besides special bonus content, fun content, stupid content, sad content, stuff you won't see anywhere else and that you don't get by watching my free YouTube? What's in it for you is to actually support independent media that goes onto the ground, that covers the Standing Rocks, that covers the Flints, that covers the minimum wage fights, that covers the police assassinations of black men, that covers the single mothers living in trailer parks, that covers the heinous economic oppression going on in this country, that covers the water crisis that's not just in Flint. I'm showing you it's everywhere. That's what's in it for you. Hank, go to France. You want to fund me? Go fund me. We'll go to France. And by the way, make sure you go to statuscoup.com and put your email in. That's part of how we're going to grow our business. We need a big, vibrant email list. We're not going to bug you. We're not going to send you our favorite color. We're going to email you when we have news. We're going to email you when we're going out in the field. Yes, we're going to email you sometimes for pushing for funding, but that's not the only times we email. Thank you, Colesme, $2 in the super chat. And by the way, there is no amount that is too low. Don't feel if you only have $1. I don't want to donate because I don't. $1 makes a difference. If 100 people have $1, that's $100 more. Some of the things we need per month, some of the services we need per month to grow in marketing and social media, in advertising, in tech, costs a month. There's a lot of monthly costs that we have to grow this business. So don't think if you only have $1 or $2 or $5, there's no amount that's too small. And I really, if you are going to donate to GoFundMe, you don't have to, but I ask that you leave a comment because I want to read why you're donating. Thanks, Kelly, for the $10. Keep going, guys. And by the way, just so you know, I put my money where my mouth is because I have put quite a lot of my non-existent and fading personal savings into this company. I believe in you, the viewer, and I believe in Jen, and I believe in Ty. I do believe in myself. But most importantly, I believe there's a strong need for real journalism. And to tell you the truth, I have a almost 4-year-old nephew. I have a niece on the way. I would like to have children one day. Jen has 2 kids. And I would like my nephew and my niece, and if I have children, I would like your children, I would like you not to be poisoned by the water. If you're black, I would like you to be able to live without fear of being executed tonight by a police officer. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, I'd like to cover that your municipalities and cities are blocking minimum wage increases or rolling them back. And by the way, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there. There's a lot of people, I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of people creating videos that literally are hot air. That are literally ridiculous clickbait about the most nonsensical bullshit, Twitter fights and nonsense and bullshit. And some people like that kind of stuff. That's cool. If that's your thing and you want to watch senseless entertainment nonsense, cool. We all have our guilty pleasures. And there's a lot of outlets out there that call themselves progressive and fearless journalism, and they just do Trump 24/7, and they do Russia bullshit 24/7. I cover Trump when I actually think there's something to cover, and I could add something. But I hope, if you have a budget, I hope you'll consider $5 a month or $10 a month. Like I said, we're going to create a higher level too, because a few people have said they want to contribute more. So, thank you for watching. I will see you. Jen will see you. Ty will see you. They won't be with me, but they will be in spirit, and we'll also have some videos from them. Jen is working very, very feverishly on a report on the Center for American Phony Progress and Neera Tanden, so you know how hypocritical they are and where they're taking their money. Thank you for watching. I will see you on Sunday. Peace out.